2003年，90岁高龄的薇薇安·斯普林福德离世。当时，这位艺术家还鲜为人知。在过去的3年时间里，他的作品价格已经从10万出头攀升至100万级别。从沧海遗珠到一画难求，是什么让他的作品受到东西方藏家和顶级艺术机构的喜爱和珍藏呢？我想，纽约著名画廊家 Christine Berry 是回答这个问题的上佳人选。他与合伙人 Campbell 创办的同名画廊 Berry Campbell Gallery， 自2013年起专注发掘并推广曾被置于市场边缘的美国战后与当代艺术家作品，尤其关注女性艺术家市场。不仅填补了艺术界长期以来的一个重要空白，也引领着当下的收藏风向。
Hi Christine, so happy to do the filming with you again.
Thank you so much for coming back to Berry Campbell. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Vivian Springford is one of my favorite artists. What's in front of us is one of her most iconic stain painting in the 1970s. I want to know, how did you get this beautiful painting?
It's very exciting to have this particular painting. It really is a masterwork by the artist. We often at this gallery represent artists in a state, so we have full bodies of work, but we also show works that are secondary market. So this came from a private collection, and they have asked us to sell it on their behalf. So we're thrilled to have it. It's a major, beautiful work.
I cannot agree with you more. Can you give us a brief introduction about this artist?
Vivian Springford is so important. We're finally looking back at the women artists who were overlooked. She was born in 1913 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and her family moved to Detroit. Her father was a very successful businessman. And in 1930, they came to New York City, and Vivian Springford went to a very prominent women's or all-girls school called the Spence School, which is still in existence here in New York, a wonderful school. And she could have gone to any university that she wanted to, but she actually decided to go to the Art Students League and study painting and drawing, and I think it's a really interesting path that she took.
By 1970, Vivian Springford had developed a manner of stain painting. For example, in this painting, it seems like to spread out from one central point on the canvas, which creates a very interesting translucent aura through vibrant colors and wash-like marks.
She really nailed it with the sort of color field of this, and she started out as an abstract expressionist. And really calligraphy was an inspiration to her. And her paintings just before this had these very beautiful black marks everywhere. And it sort of taught her with calligraphy that you do what happens and you leave. If there's a mistake, you leave it. You just go with the flow of it.
Yes.
And soon she moved beyond this into this color mode. She was friends with Harold Rosenberg, who was a great art critic, and he sort of helped get her into exhibitions, her first show at the Great Jones Gallery. And then she started looking towards nature, so she moved away from representation, and this is really the culmination of her master works. These are her chromatic pool paintings, they're called. And so she looked at nature. She went to Yellowstone National Park here in the United States, which has these beautiful geysers, and the natural minerals make these colors. She traveled to Tanzania and saw craters. And so these are inspired by nature, but then she's also using these new acrylic paints that make these beautiful colors. And she figured out a way to thin out the paint and make this beautiful wash, and it's almost like a watercolor. In this particular painting, the colors are so intense.
Yes.
There are other ones that I think are a little bit more translucent. This has a beautiful green, and these purples are incredible.
Beautiful colors. I was going to say her painting reminds me of many beautiful things that exist in nature, such as flowers in full bloom, and as you mentioned, the chromatic pools in Yellowstone Park, and the expansive center of the universe. In her own words, my paintings are my small plot of energy in terms of color and movement in the universal whole.
Well, I think she read a lot of writings from Confucius, and she was interested in Taoism, and I think that sort of Zen mode of thinking really contributed to this abstraction. She was interested in Asian art. Her friend was Wallace Ting, who was an American Chinese artist, who worked in a completely different style. He influenced her in a lot of ways, and we talk about flowers. He painted flowers and was interested in pop art. But I think the things that he was sort of moving away from, she was interested in. And really, I'm happy that she was rediscovered during her lifetime.
Yes.
There was a dealer named Gary Snyder who connected with Vivian Springford and was able to do several shows before she passed away. So it's wonderful.
Yes, I think abstract expressionism continues to be defined, and color fill painting is absolutely a particular important movement in our art history. Her painting deserves a place in post-war American art. The time is right for a revision and appreciation of Vivian Springford's great talent, as well as her tireless persistence.
Absolutely. I think there's new scholarship that's being done, and this has helped Vivian Springford. There was an exhibition at the Denver Art Museum. Her work, her biography was included in that study. I think that was very important. That was about 5 or 6 years ago. And there's been much more writing since in the New York Times and other places. So it's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you so much. Always so good to see you.
那我们今天的画廊私访就先到这里。如果你想要收藏视频中介绍的藏品，可以在视频下方找到我们的联系方式。如果你喜欢本期的视频，别忘了点赞、评论、收藏、转发。我们下期见啦！